The next type of problem we'll see, once again, all they're going to tell us is factor completely. We would love to do two binomials, 2x it. The problem is 2x's would only give us an x squared. We have a 3 in front. Another problem is where last time we were bailed out with that greatest common factor 2, there's no greatest common factor. When we have this leading coefficient greater than 1 and just an x squared, these are the problems that can be some of the more extensive problems we see in the homework. But based off the last example we saw, what we want to do is what's called that factor by grouping, that divide and conquer, where what I'm going to do is set up straight up FOIL backwards. Now, follow along with a lot of these steps because we're going to see what's going to happen. This has a whole different approach. You might also hear this called the AC approach, where A is my leading coefficient. These are in the form, if you remember the quadratics we talked about, ax squared plus bx plus c, where A is my leading coefficient and C is my constant. Coincidentally, it's a C to constant. It's more just because they're alphabetical, A, B, and C. But we'll see this again when we get to quadratic formula later. A in this case is 3. B in this case is 8. Take the product and we get a 24. Take that 24 and make a table like we did. And you'll see why we're doing this here in a minute. The table, just like we did in the last few problems, 1 times itself. Always remember that one. Sometimes the easiest is the one that we end up wanting to use. Count numerically. 2 times 12. 3 times 8, which is where we got it from. 4 times 6. 5 won't go into it. 6. There's our table that's complete. Same as before. The sign of that constant. Take it over here. And that's the operation we're going to want to use. Subtract. 24 minus 1 is 23. 12 minus 2 is 10. 8 minus 3 is 5. 6 minus 4 is 2. The numbers we want to match up, 10 and 10. Now, what that means is 2 and 12 are the numbers, and here's where you want to hang with us. This will make perfect sense here in just a minute. First term stays exactly the same. Last term stays exactly the same. Just like in FOIL, if we were to FOIL, combining the like terms in the middle is what we do at the end. So that's what we're going to do at the beginning now. This is straight up FOIL backwards. We're going to take that 2 and the 12 and find a way to give ourselves a negative 10x. In this case, 2x minus 12x. Mess with the signs, and now you'll notice too, like before when we said that because that was a negative 8, they have to multiply a positive times a negative. Well, notice positive and negative. Notice that we say the sign of the bigger number. That's the sign of the bigger number. This still follows a lot of the same rules, but since we kind of have our numbers, we can just kind of work intuitively backwards. Now it's just like our last problem when we have those 4 terms. Divide and conquer. Factor by grouping. Group the first 2 together. My GCF, just an x. Factor it out, and I get 3x plus 2. If I were to distribute, x times 3x is 3x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Up here, this is what I meant last time when I have a negative leading coefficient. That negative 12 in the middle is going to force me a negative GCF. In this case, 4. When I factor out a negative 4, what that's going to do is control my signs. Negative 12x divided by negative 4 is a positive 3x. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. Now once again, if I distribute this, negative 4 times 3x, negative 12x. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. But what we've set up, and that's what our table, that's what splitting up that middle term is going to do. We'll ensure that every single time, as long as we're good with our signs, as long as we're good with our numbers, and as long as we're good with our GCFs, we will always be setting up deliberately a common binomial. And if it's not the same, it means that we made a mistake somewhere back here. If those are the same, don't just fudge them to make them the same. Go find out what we did with our numbers, what we did with our signs, or what we did with our GCFs that can make those be the same. They always will be. When that's in common, take your 3x plus 2 times x minus 4. Here's my factored form. And once again, let's FOIL this out to show why it works. 3x times x, there's my 3x squared. 3x times negative 4 is a negative 12x. 2 times x is a 2x. Those should look familiar. They're out of order, but that doesn't matter. That's the numbers that we wanted to create. That is my FOIL backwards. 2 times negative 4 is my negative 8. The different signs give me the negative. All those same rules still apply when we combine those. Take the sign of the bigger number, negative 10x. This is straight up FOIL backwards. There's my factored form. That's what allowed us to use or to find those numbers that I want to split that middle term up as.